Alright, we'll go ahead and get started. My name's Donald Lockhart. I am the herald, actually, for the Barony of Sacred Stone. And I am a heavy fighter that takes a lot of rap shots from Duke Brian of Sacred Stone. So, when I first started fighting, I've only been fighting about 5 years, I realized that the martial arts pads that I've been using, let me switch the camera here, were a little bit inadequate to protect my head from Duke Brian. I tried switching from those to basic anti-concussion pads. They worked okay, but it still wasn't quite enough. So, doing some research, and there will be a handout for this, but the last couple of weeks, life has gotten in the way and I didn't get it prepared in time. I'll get it sent out in the next couple of days. It's mostly done. It does have the basic pattern and the basic process of constructing, as well as some pictures from the British Museum of History, which is where a lot of the inspiration for the helmet liner came from. There was a website out there, I can't remember what it was, because the last couple of times I've tried to go to it, I've gotten a 404 error, so I know the website is no longer available. Gave me kind of an initial starting point. So now, my helmet liner looks like these. They are a very basic concept. It is linen, wool, or cotton batting, and this one uses duck cloth. This one is just linen and wool, and the one here on the bottom is linen, wool, and I used a pigskin on the back so it didn't slide around on my helmet quite as much. The difficulty with the pigskin one is it's a lot harder to wash. With the linen and wool, I can literally just take it out of my helmet, I throw it in a soft mesh bag, and throw it in the washing machine. The linen and wool, as well as linen and duck cloth one, I can soak when I'm on the field in July and August, and just a little bit of wind basically gives me some air conditioning. It actually makes it very comfortable, and it's reduced my overall heat on the field immensely. So the actual construction is actually quite simple. You'll cut out all the layers, lay them flat, like I did with this one. Switch my camera back. Like I did with this one, you'll lay it flat and just use a very, very basic whip stitch around the edge. They are made to be easily repaired. The hardest part about them is getting the angle in here, and I'll bring it up to the camera and you can see I have a little bit of a patch there that I've had to do over the time. But when it goes in the helmet, it literally just wraps around your head and tucks up that direction, tucks up into your helmet. The pigskin helps keep it from sliding. I've used the plastic side of Velcro when it was just the linen one. That held it pretty well. The top of my helmet at one point needed a little bit extra padding because it was a taller helmet. I made this little pad that would just go in and fill that space to keep the helmet from sliding down any extra. Basically just a little pillow. A couple of the difficulties that I found with using this is when I first started using it, it drastically changed the amount of calibration it took for me to feel it. Because it fills the entire space of the helmet, and this one is starting to get a little worn out. It's about time to make a new one. It's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick now. Before it was compressed, it was 4 inches thick, laying flat. And that would get compressed into my helmet in the 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch space. The first few times I would put it on, it was quite tight because it was compressing quite a bit. But as you wear it, it compresses and starts fitting really well. Some of the advantages is you don't get the shifting around of your helmet that you get with the anti-concussion pads and the blue foam or other foams. And you no longer get the ringing in your ears, which was a big thing for me because I'm not a fan of that ringing. I already have tinnitus from time in the military, and this pretty well has solved that for me. The basic pattern I'll put up here is fairly simple. What I did to make it, let me grab my helmet here, get some of this off my desk. And switch over to present. No, I'll just leave it like this. So, to make it, and I actually made this on a different helmet, but the liner actually worked coming over just fine. I took the helmet, wrapped it with the paper all the way around, and the one that I made it with didn't have a visor on it, but wrapped it all the way around, used a whole bunch of tape to get it down to where I wanted it, and then cut grooves to make it fit in the lobes. I can make that more like that. When the face opening, get my helmet open here. With the face opening, when you do the initial real quick stitch of putting it together, may or may not fit super well right there. Just get a set of fabric scissors and cut off the excess. It doesn't need to be super fine, anything like that, because when you put it in the helmet, that's how it fits. You can just cut any of the excess around, and it'll create a little bit of a gap in top, but depending on the shape and fit of your helmet, it may have enough pressure on the sides or the top to hold it exactly where it needs to be in place. With the pad in there, it's literally just throwing the pad in the top. As you can see, I don't have Velcro, anything like that in my helmet to help hold my pads in. Put it in, tuck it in there, and everything fits well. The nice part about it not being stitched into the helmet is after 2-3 days of wear at war, something like that, when you get home, you can take it out, throw it in the wash. There's no modification to the helmet that has to be done to make it fit. If your helmet is really tall, you can stitch it to the bottom and let the helmet liner provide a suspension style process to help hold it up, but I have found it hasn't been necessary with any of the 3 helmets that I have. I use this closed face helmet. I have a basic Ironmonger munitions grade bassinet, which is actually what the pattern was made off of, and then I have another one that's similar to this in stainless.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, what's up?
So I wonder, were they ever coif-like in that would they ever have it tied to the fighter's head, or just left as an insert in the helmet?
Most of the ones that I have seen from the British History Museum didn't have a coif at the bottom. There are some thinner ones where there were examples of them being inserted in and then having the chainmail over top of them. So you would have the helmet, the chainmail, the padding, the coif coming down. The nice thing about this liner is you can actually make it longer, more like a padded coif, and attach it to the aventail. There's many examples of period aventails where it's actually stitched to the padding. For my materials, for my materials, just basic. This is just basic wool batting. I have used let's see. Let me switch dialogues here. I have used just basic cotton batting picked up from Walmart. This was wool batting that I picked up at a local fabric store. For linen, I've used white linen, I've used natural linen, and I have used duck cloth. My experience, the duck cloth makes a very good stabilizer inside. So to construct it, you'll take at least 2 layers of linen, one for each side on the outside. And if you don't stitch it together like I did with this one, it's a lot easier to turn inside out. So with linen or duck cloth on both sides, you can invert it if it starts getting real sweaty on a day of fighting. By not stitching it, it makes it easier to lay out to dry. By using the all-natural fibers, I really haven't had much of an issue with yes, Gregor, looks like you have a question. Gotta go.
Hank and Rory, come here.
Sorry, wrangling the kids here as well.
Hank and Rory, that was a direction. Here now.
Hey, I am teaching a class. You can't be over here. No, not right now. You gotta go over there. I will hug you in a minute, okay, Bubba? With the all-natural fibers, I have found that it makes it so I don't have to deal with a whole lot of smell, the way that some of the synthetics I've used have been. But you take after you make the pattern on the outside, and like I say, there will be a handout that walks through the process of making the pattern a little bit easier. You'll wrap that around the paper around the helmet, cut it out, and lay it out. All the layers get cut to the same size. And the advantage of that is it makes it a whole lot easier to flip back and forth as necessary. You do a layer of the linen with cotton on top of that. 1 or 2 layers of cotton. Put a layer of whatever you're going to use as a stabilizer. The one that I have with linen and pigskin actually uses a wool fabric as a stabilizer. The black one that has duck cloth on the outside uses just more duck cloth as a stabilizer because it's what I had it on hand at the time. And repeat those layers, about 2 layers of batting to every layer of stabilizer, going up until it's between 2 and 4 inches thick, and then you stitch the edges. If you use a real light stitch initially, spacing it out 1.5 inches, just to kind of keep it together, when you insert it into the helmet, it makes it a whole lot easier to cut the face. If you need to cut the face, and then go back through with a whip stitch. You can put a rolled edge type binding around the seams, which helps hold it together. The first one I made that was all linen and wool, the problem I had was after about a year of use, the linen, due to repairs and such, was starting to disintegrate around the edges, just where it was pulling. I have found this one that I use the linen and pigskin on, I haven't had that problem with. I rolled the pigskin over the edge to help stabilize it, and it's made it last significantly longer. The first one lasted a little over a year, and this other one that I was just showing that's in my helmet here has lasted about a year and a half now, with periodic washings. It doesn't get washed after every use, but I will lay it out at least after every use to dry. The sun does wonders to help dry it real quickly, and make it just kind of last for me. So, like I said, I was going to go through the handout, which life made difficult for me this week. So I don't have that ready, but I will send it out. Just give me a couple of days. And the pattern. What questions can I answer for you guys about it?
Have you explored quilting the kind of channelizing it all? Or
I tried a little bit, but my sewing machine wouldn't handle the quilting. I haven't found that it's really needed it. The leg protection that I made, that kind of uses the same technique, I did quilt that because it was just a longer run. With this being tucked in the helmet and compressed all the time, it hasn't seemed to have shifted. Saw a question here in the chat for the time period. The examples from the British History Museum that this is based off of is mid 14th century. No, there's no stitching going through all the layers except around the edges. The stabilizer in the middle helps hold all of that together and has kept everything from shifting. I will say that it has been a lot easier to care for the ones that I have made without the pig skin on them, just because they're a whole lot easier to wash. Because the one with the pig skin I have to wash by hand and let it hang and dry, whereas the ones that have been linen and a batting, whether it be wool batting or cotton batting, I've been able to throw just right in the washing machine with all the rest of my garb. Yes, the pigskin is a suede material. It was just picked up at Tandy Leather. Go play with it. And now the kids are grabbing the swords and the helmets to hit each other. Yeah, the pigskin this padding has worked significantly better for me for the concussion aspect. One of the big advantages of it is because it fills up the entire cavity in the helmet, it helps to distribute the force through the entire helmet instead of just on the one spot with the area of padding. The anti-concussion padding works well for a smaller point of trauma, whereas with our sticks they tend to hit and have a lot longer space or span that it's hitting. see. I can say that since I have switched to using these, I have walked off the field a whole lot less rattled, not mattering who I have fought in. And the worst part about it has been the initial insert into the helmet, where it can have a just be a real tight fit. Let's see here. Oh, let's go. Here, let me. Oh, get back up there. So, image. There we go. That is. Here is, if I can get it, a picture of the helmet liner from the I did try using a sinew. I don't recommend it. It is a lot harder to work with. And it really didn't provide any extra strength or support that just regular thread provided.
On your handout, is there a link provided so we can find that again on the British Museum?
Yeah, it'll have those pictures as well as the links from the British History Museum on
Great, thank
how to
you.
get to them. There's a few other pictures. I just don't have them readily available on the computer at this time.
Got it. Thank you, Domhnall. This has been great. I'm going to hop off.
Okay. And let's see. And here, make this picture a little bit bigger so it's easier to see it. Uh, as I was saying, it compressed on the insides because of this arc a lot more there and faster. I believe the first one I made, because I went a little overboard on my materials, was between 60 and 80 bucks. This one, turn that off. This one here, I think I made using a white linen that I ordered on Amazon, and just the cotton batting instead of wool batting. I think total cost into it was right around 10 bucks. But once again, I had the pigskin laying around. There was enough extra linen when I made it, because this was all left over from what I had ordered on Amazon, that I could have made the outside layer with linen instead and still been within that $10 price. I find it takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to make one, just using a roller cutter. And I don't even trace the pattern out. I lay it on directly on top of the fabric and just cut right around it, since nothing has to be exact. And when you get done, you just get out the fabric scissors and clean it up as necessary.
Watch a movie.
Do you remember what kind of weight linen you're using? How heavy is the linen?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look back at my Amazon order, but I'll add that to the order.
Medium.
My wife says it's a medium weight fabric.
Medium, and it's fairly loose weave.
Thank you.
But I'll include that on the handout. As far as, let me get back down here. Yes, for loaner gear, You can put grommets in the top to loosen and tighten it as necessary to close in the top to make it fit better. And once again, the advantage is you can just take it and wash it. So it makes it a whole lot easier if you have one person that's using the helmet all day long. The other nice thing is people can make their own, and even if your fighters are sharing a helmet, you can swap out the liner and nobody's using somebody else's liner. I have tried a thin piece of suede in place of the pigskin, and it was basically the same results. It was actually just a little bit slicker. It's about a quarter yard of linen, and for batting, I just picked up one of the twin size bags of batting from Walmart, and I've had enough to make, I think, 3 or 4 of these helmet liners out of it, and I still have left over. So it doesn't take a lot. I did find it takes a little bit more cotton batting than the wool batting to make. But I have one of these pads now for each one of my helmets, and they're all made off the same pattern, even though each helmet is slightly different, and they seem to be interchangeable just fine. It makes it very helpful at fighter practices with new guys. It also, by eliminating that ringing, we've been able to get some of our newer guys that were afraid of getting hit to come back a little bit more often, so that they don't feel like it's just a giant shock to the brain. But once again, I fight with Duke Bryan, so it can be a little bit of a shock to the brain.
And Kiriak and Akbar.
But he uses such dainty swords.
Oh, I know.
Does your chin strap just come around the outside of the lining for your open face?
Yeah, all my chin straps are actually put on the same way. Let me get back over to the other camera here. I attach them inside, just drilled through the outside, and of course I picked the side that has the latch on it. Just drilled through the outside. I use a Chicago screw and a very basic strap that goes down under my chin. The liner actually sits right up against the strap itself, and actually helps hold the chin strap right where I want it as I'm putting my helmet on. The only annoying part is if I'm not paying attention and my strap falls down inside, I have to pull the entire liner out in order to fish the strap back out. But once again, it's quick enough to put in and take out that it's mostly a non-issue. It's just that, hey, I'm getting ready to go out and get inspected, and I don't have my chin strap on. I have found that it does sit tight enough on my head that when getting inspected, it doesn't allow a whole lot of movement on the helmet, a whole lot less movement than what the anti-concussion pads have done, since they're actually more designed to slide and compress. And I think the anti-concussion pads I spent more in cost just for the anti-concussion pads than what it cost me to make the entire liner 3 times over.
So I was noticing you're not using a chin cup. Are you finding the pad is tight enough that you don't have to worry about face thrusts?
Yeah. especially in this helmet with the shape of it, it's been tight enough that chin thrusts haven't been a problem. But Brian and Akbar also don't thrust a whole lot, so.
Yeah, but when he does.
When I have fought Bevan, who will thrust, his thrusts have not shifted my helmet significantly enough that it's been an issue. And when I took a thrust to the face from Duke Dietrich with a great sword, that didn't move it enough so that it became an issue either.
Jesus, children. What is wrong? What?
They just woke up from naps. Any other questions for you guys?
Looking back at the side view of the original, is that a repair or is that actually a slot for a strap on the side? Any
Let's
clue?
see. From the extant pieces,
Yeah. I'm just seeing a dark line. I can't tell if that's just a repair stitch line or if that's actually an opening for a strap.
I would have to look more into that. I don't think I really
Okay.
ever paid that much attention to that particular point.
What was the question?
It looks, zooming in on it, it may have been a repair because I don't see it on the inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, this has been a significant improvement over anything else I was using, and doing martial arts for almost 2 decades now. I was well used to wearing different types of martial arts padding, uh, and taking punches and kicks to the head, and that being sufficient. With this style of fighting and the steel helmet, those pads, while they will meet requirements, have nothing over the amount of shock absorption this pad has provided me. Alright, well, if nobody has any other questions, I'll let you guys get ready for your next classes. I got to get the computer set up so my wife can teach her class now. But I will get this, the pattern in the handout, sent out in the next day or two so that everybody can have it and use them, distribute them as they see fit.
No responses? Goodbye. Yeah, look at that. Strawberry's tail is now a helmet holder.